Hi all, hope you're well. I want to talk a bit to younger people about their career, and it's something that I've never considered till I'm a bit older and probably getting on for being a bit too late for me to have really considered this. And I want to give you a couple of tips that might sort of put you in good stead. And I wish I'd kind of known when I was a younger man, and girls as well. We don't have many girls watching the channel, but if there are girls watching, this will suit anyone. So it's all about career progression. Now, I was brought up being taught that if you work really hard and if you do a good job and you just sort of stay stoic and stay quiet, that will get noticed and your bosses are going to reward you and give you all these great opportunities. And that's kind of the thing we see in the films and in books, that this person starts at the bottom, and if they just put in enough work, they're going to get noticed and they'll work their way up the ladder. And that's kind of a concept, anyone who goes into a job, that's what they kind of do, isn't it? We all try and do our best, do what we think is a good job, and we're hoping that the bosses are noticing that, and then we're going to get rewarded with some kind of promotional path. Actually, for years and years, I found the absolute opposite to be true. That if you do your absolute best at work and you just get on with your work and you don't make a big fuss about it and you're sort of stoic, like a lot of people are, and they're kind of embarrassed to blow their own trumpet, the bosses don't particularly notice. They don't go home at night and lay there on their pillows thinking, oh, I wonder, that person was doing really well today. Oh, I think I might give them a pay rise. They go home and they think generally about their company. Is my company doing well? Yes, it is. Good, I can have a sound night's sleep. No, it's not doing so well. I'm not very happy with it. But they're not particularly thinking about singular employees. So you have to find a way to make them think about singular employees. And that is kind of awkward for people, because it takes a little bit of self-confidence, and it takes a little bit of like combativeness to actually get that point across. So if you're working really hard and you're doing a good job, I would suggest you actually go and present that to your boss, knock on his door, try and get into the door of the most senior boss you can and say, look, I've worked my butt off for this company for the last couple of months. I've been working on this project. It's gone really, really well. I'm very pleased with how it's turned out. I think that that's done a lot of good for this company, and I'm interested in my career progression. I want you to help me to work out my career path going forward with this company, and I want to map out, my promotional route. If I keep working like this, how am I going to get promoted within this company? What's my path to that promotion? And you can kind of, well, firstly, they're going to sit back and start taking a look at you. They're going to recognize you because you might have been lost in the masses. You're just another number, another face to these bosses, and the bigger the company, the more likely that is. So suddenly they're going to kind of take a view on you and say, hey, this person's pretty serious. They've bothered to come to my office. They've bothered to present themselves. That shows ambition. It shows a level of maturity. And so they're going to start paying some attention to you. Then you're asking them what's called a closed question. So you're not saying, oh, if I do really well, maybe in the future, maybe could you think about coming back to me at another time and giving me an answer or whatever. You're saying to them, I've done this. Let's talk about now, what's my path forward? So you're not kind of holding them over a barrel and forcing them into a situation or giving them an ultimatum. You're basically guiding them towards giving you a positive answer. And you're saying, what's the positive path forward for someone that's doing really well within this company? They're going to be hard pressed to turn around and say, well, we don't really have a positive path forward, because that sounds pretty rubbish. And any boss, worth his salt is going to come back with an answer that's fairly positive. And that's something you can hold them to. So, it's definitely worth doing that, getting them to come up with a career path forward. Then I would say another thing is to keep them on their toes. So a lot of firms expect 100% loyalty from the workforce, the people below the glass ceiling. But actually for the upper level management and the owners and things like that, there is very little loyalty there, because they'll all slap each other on the back. If one of them gets cross promoted to another business, another company, they'll go out and have drinks and all congratulate each other and say, oh, well done, you know, you're moving up in the world, what a great thing. And they almost see it like each of their each of their positions in their jobs is just a stepping stone to the next one, and that's kind of openly accepted at that level. And then when those guys look down at the workforce level, there's kind of this expectation of blind loyalty, and that the workers should be just pleased that they're given a job, and that they should be happy to come to work every day, and they shouldn't be looking for anything else. So I would strongly suggest that you self-promote, and it's never been easier to do that to lots and lots of different workplaces than it is right now. You can start up a LinkedIn, you can start talking about the skills and your passions and the things you're doing at work on that LinkedIn, which is supposed to be a professional platform. So you can have lots of prospective employers on there looking for people that are valuable, because these days employers are struggling all over the world to find valuable, good employees. So you're going to be doing them a favor by showcasing your talents on that platform. And you'll find quickly you can build, if you keep things pretty professional on there, and you're not, you know, on there sort of in your underwear pics or Instagram nonsense or whatever, you're just relaying your passion and your skill set on there about the job that you're doing, you'll find quite quickly you start to expand your group on there, and you'll find quite quickly that you start to get job offers. With those offers, you can then let the bosses you currently work for know, and they will probably be on LinkedIn as well, and they will be seeing that you're becoming popular, that you're getting offers and such, and that keeps them on their toes a little bit. So now you're a commodity that they're having to keep hold of, rather than you being thankful that they're kind of charitably giving you a job. You never want to be in that position at work where you're beholden, you know, that you feel that, oh, thank God that they're letting me work here, because it isn't like that. It should be a mutually beneficial situation where, yes, you're thankful that they're giving you a job, but they're also very thankful that you're a competent employee and you're doing a great job for them, and they're happy about that. So it should be a two-way street. And a lot of the time that gets forgotten. So you can use things like LinkedIn with this self-promotion to show them that, hey, you know, if it isn't a two-way street, I have other options. Just like you would kind of, maybe a girl would keep a guy on his toes like that when he's trying to date her. If he's, you know, a bit of a player, the girl might sort of show him that she has many other options of guys that are asking her out on dates. And that's going to kind of get his interest back and think, oh, you know, I'm going to really concentrate on this one because I'm going to lose her otherwise. And it's the same in the job market. So make sure that they're aware. I'm not saying that you just sort of march into their offices and say, hey, you know, so-and-so's offered me a job. But there's also times you can do that. You know, if you get your timing right, if you've just landed you know, been heavily involved in a project that has just sort of landed the company some really good deals, that would be the time where I would go into a boss and say, hey, you know, I've actually been offered a really decent position somewhere else. I'm not sure what the situation is at the moment. I'm going to take a week or so to think about it. Now, two things are going to happen there. Firstly, I would suggest you actually need that other job offer. You know, it's not worth doing that as a bluff, because probably you're not going to make it sound believable. And also, if this goes wrong, you haven't got anything to fall back on. But two things are going to happen, and they're going to tell you some valuable information. Thing number one, that guy's just going to ignore you, do nothing, and he's not going to give a damn. Well, that information there is you probably should actively look for another job, because this company doesn't care much about you. It certainly doesn't care enough to retain you. The employer might sit you down and give you a good talk about how much they value you. They might not offer an improvement in finance for you, but they might at that point, you know, say, look, if you stay with us another 6 months and you meet these targets, then you could get a bump up the ladder. So there's like a future promise of a better salary. Or they might flat out offer you a better salary. Now, those two last options are both fantastic because one is a promise of a better salary in the near future and one is immediate better salary. So now you're working your way up the ladder, and that's how successful people get to where they are in the workplace. You know, I'm not talking about entrepreneurs that are kind of doing their own thing. I'm talking about if you're in the standard workplace and you're wanting to work your way up as fast as possible, these are the sort of techniques I would employ. Do not ever think that you just leave it up to, oh, my work talks for itself and let them come to you with offers. I don't think in history there's ever going to be a time when you do some decent work and randomly one of the owners of the company kind of walks up to you and says, hey, I've noticed that you did this. I've decided to give you £20,000 more a year, because their whole job is their bottom line. You know, they're trying to save as much money as possible. They're not trying to spend it out. So they're not just going to throw tens of thousands of pounds away if they don't have to. You're going to have to make them need to do that. And you make them need to do that by showing them that you've got value, that you're bringing value to the company, so you're worthwhile to the company, and then showing them that actually they need to get hold of you, you know, and they need to retain you, and they're going to be able to do that through finance. That's serious leverage. You know, that gives you a strong position, and that will give you a strong position going forward from there as well, because you can't keep playing that game all the time, but you can certainly play it enough to keep moving yourself up that ladder. And the last piece of advice I would give is never burn any bridges. You know, this is business, it's not personal. You're going to come across people at work who are horrible. You know, some of them are just going to be like psychopaths. You're going to come across people at work that you don't get on with personally. You're going to come across annoying people, all kinds of things. I would try and set as much as you can to the side. There's nothing wrong with being straight and direct. You know, that gives you an air of confidence. So if someone's being an absolute fool in a meeting and suggesting ridiculous things, I would see nothing wrong at all with just stopping that person and saying, hey, you know, I think you're wrong. This is why I think you're wrong. They might not like that, but it won't be perceived as kind of immature or needlessly antagonistic. But certainly don't burn your bridges. Don't sort of sell people out. Don't go under the, you know, don't be sly to people and then they know that you've kind of done some bad things to them at work, because at some point you're going to come across those people again. And when you do, at the very least, you want them to have a neutral opinion. You know, that's the very least that you want out of that. You don't want to be coming across people that may have influence on your career and they're having really negative opinions of you, because even if they're at the same or lower position in the company as you, let's say you've upset 2 or 3 people in that company, and those people might be absolute dicks, but if you've upset them all badly enough, they will talk about you behind your back. Those words will come back to the bosses and come back to the bosses, and in the end there'll be all this noise and your name will keep being mentioned, and they're not going to have a very good opinion of you. That will not go well when you try to get promotions and stuff, because that's in the back of their mind. It doesn't need, you know, they don't need to have proved it to be absolute fact. It's just the fact that that seed's been sown in their mind to start with. So at least stay neutral with people, and then try where you can to forge really positive relationships and be as helpful as you can to people at work. Become that person that will help someone else with a bit of their project. You know, even if you're busy, make the time to do that. Let people know that you're happy to help them out, that you're going to step out of your comfort zone and help anyone where you can. If you're, you know, if someone asks you to do something you think is sort of below you and demeaning, if you're asked to go and sweep up a load of rubbish in the yard because they've got someone coming to visit and the cleaner's away that day, I would be going out and doing it and being really, really helpful, because when you find that those bosses ask around about you, or they hear the people talking about you behind your back and it's all positive and they're saying, oh, so-and-so cleaned up for me, so-and-so helped me out with my project, even though they were really busy, those are the kind of things that you want. You know, those are the seeds that you want to sow to those bosses, to let them know that you're a worthwhile candidate, that you're strong, mature, confident, competent, all those important things. Guys and girls, I hope those tips help you a little bit. There's loads and loads more, but those are just the basics, how I would go about trying to improve myself in a basic work environment. Take care, have a good one,